And we are live, Georgia, officially episode 10, the top
Woo!
1% club.
We made it. Welcome,
I
guys.
know.
We are pumped.
How exciting.
How exciting. I just looked at the number of the episode and I was like, "Oh my God." And Matt said, "Yep, top 1%. We made it."
And just put the little cherry on top, these stats are a couple of weeks behind, but downloads went up to 500 this week.
Epic. That's double pretty
Yeah.
much our first couple of ones were what, 250
Oh,
or
yeah.
something. I love
Yeah, in the low
that.
200s, yeah.
We love you guys. This is so exciting. It feels so good that people are actually listening, and I still get shocked when people tell me that they listen to the podcast. I mean, I don't
Yeah,
blame them. It's a great podcast.
it's a great podcast, but I'm the same. Like, someone will be like, I was listening to this episode. I'm like, why are you listening to it?
Yeah. Tell me,
It's
do
still
you have
weird.
thoughts?
Yeah. I still get the same thing with social media. Someone will be like, I was watching that reel you did the other day. I'm like, were you? Like, okay.
This
It's
happened the
still
other this happened the other
mm.
day. Someone at Nick's work pulled him aside and was like, "I saw your wife on TikTok," and he was like, "Oh my God, stop it!" Oh, I was like, "Oh no, I'm infiltrating your life."
Well, that's just the life of an influencer, isn't it, Georgia?
Oh look, let's not go that far, but we can say that. Why not? So yeah, how was your week, Matt? Let's kick it off with our highs and lows of our training week before I forget.
Yeah, I don't even remember what I did last week for training.
Are you okay? Are
I
you all right?
just in the hurt locker, just deep in the hurt locker, you know.
Poor Matt, he's had a
Um,
big week. Had a big week, but we're here. He's going to tell us all about it while he thinks about everything that he did
I'm
last
looking
week.
through my training peaks at the moment.
He's like, what the heck have I done all week? It's all a
Yeah.
blur. Do you want me to start? Will
Um,
that make you feel better?
no, I got
Okay.
it.
You got it. Okay.
Yeah. Highs, we did had a good bike ride on Saturday, 5 hours, 130 something Ks, couple of kilometers of climbing, which was good.
Yep.
Um, yeah, that was just a good solid brick in the wall kind of session. And then lows, I'm back to even keel. Don't have a low, and my high wasn't super high. So I'm pretty happy with that. I'm just consistent. I'm racing this week, so everything's just nice and chill.
What do you mean you're racing this week?
I'm doing a half Ironman in Geelong on Sunday.
Oh my God. Okay, cool. Is this
Yeah.
like a practice run for getting some, I guess the half Ironman, you want to be hitting certain targets to kind of see that you're going to be on track for the full?
Not
Does it
so
not work
much.
that
It's
way?
not. You can. We're probably a little bit too close to do it properly. Just we're 6 weeks, 7 weeks from Port, which is the big
Yeah.
one. I don't have the time to do a full taper, race really hard, recover, and then get back into training. So
Yeah,
this is just
okay.
more of like a glorified training day.
Okay, cool. So what date is
So,
the Ironman, sorry? The big one?
May
Something.
4th,
May 4th. Okay. That's right.
Star Wars
Sorry.
Day.
Star Wars Day. I did know that. Sorry.
Yeah, May the. I won't need everything in my corner, so I'm hoping the Jedi's will help as well.
Oh my God. Stop it. Oh, wow.
So many
Okay.
people have said that to me. They're like, "You picked Star Wars Day for a reason." I was
I
like, "I
know.
didn't, but sure."
Guys, I learn something new every week about Matt, and it. Wow.
What? Does it surprise you I like Star Wars? Because I
No,
mean,
it doesn't.
hold
I was
on,
going to say this. I'm not surprised.
it's on brand, but I like the old Star Wars. I don't like the new ones.
Yeah, that makes. I mean, yeah. Look, to be honest, I probably only watch.
I feel like most people my age are that way, but
Yeah, I only watched them all in the correct order. Probably, I don't know, a year ago or something. But otherwise,
oh
I
really?
hadn't seen them. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Well, up
anyway.
until like I can't remember what it was because they're all different. Episode 3, which is actually episode like 6.
Oh, I don't know. It's so dumb.
Yeah. Anyway, whatever. So yeah, that were my highs and lows.
They were your highs and lows. That's good.
Yeah.
Nothing too much to report on, hey?
No, just even keel, ticking boxes, working hard. That's where we're at.
Yeah, very good.
Recording podcasts.
doing things. I
How
love
about
it.
you? How about you, Georgia? You've got some exciting news.
Do I? Oh, with my scan?
That,
Is
that,
this...
you, that yeah, that we don't have to amputate your leg. Fantastic.
Oh, I was trying to map out in my head what day it was and when I actually found out with the scan.
Hmm.
So on, oh gosh, what day was it? Thursday, I had a bone scan as per the doctor's orders and my physio, which was very interesting. I've never had a bone scan before. Never had, I don't think I've really ever had an X-ray either. But have you had a bone scan?
No, I actually haven't.
No. Anyway, super weird experience. They basically inject you with this dye that goes into your bones, and you can,
Oh, I've seen that.
yeah. The guy was really cool. He was like, "Do you want to watch it?" So he put the screen in front of my face, and he was like, you could see the dye filtering into like my kidneys and all through my body. It was really cool, like super grainy, but super, super cool. Um, so yeah, but I said to him, look, is this going to show up a stress fracture if I've got one? And he said, yep, definitely. So everything was riding on this scan because if it came back with a stress fracture, that was London out. But thankfully, the next day I got my results back and no stress fracture, which is awesome. I'm so happy about that, which means I can still run London. So now I just need to suck it up, go get a cortisone shot and deal with it. Now that I know it's not like fractured and actually really serious.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, someone messaged me during the week because I was, oh, sorry, it's Friday. And I was a little bit worried I was being a bit dramatic. You know, when you kind of like, what's my pain threshold? Like, is my pain
Mm.
threshold quite low or is my pain threshold quite high and I'm actually in quite a lot of pain? And she was like, look, I'm going to leave. She goes, I just wanted to message you because I can tell obviously this is playing on your mind. And she said, I've had bursitis, which is what I have, and I've had a fractured hip at separate times. And she said, to be honest with you, they feel the same. And I was like, okay, I'm not being dramatic then.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I that made me feel a bit better. So yes, my high is that again, I'm such a chatter.
Yeah, we
Long-winded
don't have to
answer.
amputate your leg.
We don't have to amputate
Fantastic.
my leg. My hip is well, not completely fine, but I can, run. But yeah, the high was that. And also, I've been going to the pool, which is really fun, learning how to swim laps. Not something I've ever done before. This is probably the fourth or fifth time today that I've ever been in a pool swimming laps. So, learning a lot as I go.
Who wants to see Georgia do an Ironman?
Do you know, someone messaged me that today. They were like, I can see a
Yeah.
triathlon coming. And I was like, no. I said to
Yeah.
her, I
I
was
feel
like,
it.
no, you don't. You
I
don't.
feel
It's
it.
not happening. Because you know
I'm gonna
what?
wear you down over years. Just like
I'll be,
two
no.
rocks grinding.
Do you know what? I just don't have any interest in being pulled by the ankles by some absolute asshole who
Oh,
wants to
that
get in
doesn't
front.
happen.
As if it doesn't. I've heard so many stories of this happening.
If you're swimming at the front, it does happen. If you're swimming where you're going to be swimming, it doesn't happen. Everyone's just trying not to drown.
Fair call. Okay, and my other thing is the only other time I've ridden a road bike was in London, and I think I'm traumatized from it. So I just
Nah,
don't
it'll be
know if
fine.
it's for me.
Nah, we'll work it out.
Okay, look, he's really trying to. God, guys, it's gonna
I'll
happen. I can
just
feel
sign
it.
you up.
Do you know what I could do? I could probably do one of those mini ones where you kind of just go for like a little swim, a little bike, a little run.
Yeah.
Do that.
Shout out Taylor from ASIC. I'm coaching her to do one she does in like 2 weeks.
Oh, amazing. There you go.
Yeah.
What one is that? Wollongong? No.
No, I don't know it off the top of my head, but it's like a 500 or 600 meter swim, 20k bike, 5k run. Thanks
See,
for
I could do
coming.
that.
Yeah, of course you could.
Look, guys, you heard it here first.
The first
Maybe.
step has been made. She's
Maybe.
conceded ground. She's gone from absolutely not to like, I could probably do a sprint. And then we get her to do the sprint. And then it goes to Olympic and then half Ironman. And then all of a sudden, we're qualifying for Kona, baby.
Do you know, is it bad that I low key kind of want to do one just so I can get a tri suit?
We're getting custom performance project tri-suits.
I mean, oh, can you imagine? It'd be
They're
so
red.
cool. Black's more my color, but
It's got red at the top, black at the bottom.
we'll see. If this happened last time when we were training for Gold Coast and Matt designed kit, and I was like, Matt, this is how you need to make it. and I gave him all of the things he needed to do, and he did one and then changed a heap, and I was like, he did. He went rogue and made it look like a football jersey, and I was like, Matt, I'm not wearing that.
Well, to be fair, at that point, I had more boys than girls,
I mean,
and
fair,
you lost the vote. So the boys wanted a jersey style.
well, I wear the t-shirt and that's it, because everything else is
Yeah, well, the
boy.
t-shirt's just black.
It's black with the logo that I put together on it.
Yeah, we're gonna do some cool stuff after Ironman prep when I have the mental capacity to deal with merch.
Yeah, but then there's other stuff you have to deal with, so we'll see.
Like what?
Like our programs that are going to come out, they're going to be
I've
great.
been working on them for the last 3 weeks. I've rewritten them like 6 times.
I'm keeping Matt so busy. I keep like throwing ideas at him, being like, we should do this. And he's like, yeah. And then when he just sends me all these voice notes, guys, and he's like, all right, I'm picking your brain again. And I love it.
Yeah. I just, it's been really interesting working on for people who don't know, building a new website for the Performance Project, which is like my coaching company that Georgia is like, obviously we coach Georgia. And one of the things we want to do is like start doing programs. And Georgia and I like spoke a lot about it, and I was like, I was really against doing programs at the start. And then if you've listened, you'll know I don't like doing 0 to marathon, 0 to half marathon. I think it's all a bit marathon in 16 weeks. I just think it's all a bit ridiculous and just marketing.
Yeah. No one should be running 0 to a marathon. That's an injury waiting to happen.
Yeah. So it's been really, really interesting for me to put my thoughts down about endurance and about training and about programming and trying to refine that process into small, really deliberate chunks.
Yeah.
So when they do come out, probably in the next fortnight, or by the time you guys listen to it, it'll probably be either out or in the next 7 days. I actually think the concept we've come up with, I haven't seen anyone else do it anywhere.
It's going to be really good. It's going to be awesome. So you guys are going to love it. I think, it's a really good
I think it's truly unique, and it's designed to get any athlete from any starting point to a certain finish point.
Yeah.
I'll just leave it at that. Yeah.
Stay tuned before Matt tells you everything.
It's been really interesting to like look at programs that people put out, like that are currently out there, and picking apart what's wrong with them and how to do it better. Like, it's all well and good to criticize something, but unless you can make it better, then you should just shut up. So, don't you think? Don't you hate when someone goes, that's shit, and you go, okay, how can I make it better? And like, yeah, I don't know. Like, well, fuck you then.
Yeah, no. I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
Don't worry. No, it's going to be really good. I'm excited to see it come out and see what you guys think about it and see what Matt's put together for you. So yeah, it'll be really good.
Yeah.
We'll probably give you guys exclusive access first if you're
for sure.
Beyond the Finish Line listener, and of course the Performance Project friends as well. But so exciting. But
yeah.
I was talking to Matt today, actually, as we always do. We always talk about what we're going to do the day of, because I just think it's a bit...
We used to be so organised.
Yeah, look, I don't know if it's an organisational thing, or I think it's just best that we talk about it day of, because you and I both lead very busy lives. And if we talk about it too early, I'm like, what did we say again? I forget.
Yeah, there's that. I think also for the first couple, you needed a little bit of structure to like get your nerves in check, because the first one you're like, what are we going to talk about? And I was like, it's fine, we'll just talk.
Don't you just love the way that he does my voice? Like I'm some little Sheila from the Outback. Oh my gosh. Anyway.
I appreciate you saying Sheila though.
I thought I'd use your own language there.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we were chatting today, and I was saying, I've obviously been going to the pool and swimming, and today I swam another 1,500 meters or something. But the one thing I've really noticed in my DMs since I've started posting my swims is so many people are, one, either saying they're really inspired to get into the pool, or two, they're saying, oh, this is kind of the kick I need in the bum to go into the pool swimming because I'm so injured. And I have had, no word of a lie, probably 15 or 16 women jump in my DMs to say, oh, I've got Achilles problems, I've got glute issues, my hip is bad, I've got shin splints, all from running. And I was like, how do we make this not a thing? Like, I know running is still such a busy thing. Everyone is jumping on running, and I absolutely love it. But I just feel like maybe today we can have a chat about a bit of injury prevention, because I'm really worried for everyone out there. All these injuries. I mean, I can't talk. Obviously, I'm injured at the moment, but maybe we can help people prevent some injuries.
Yeah,
What do you
absolutely.
reckon?
And when you originally pitched this, I was like, I wonder how. I was thinking about how to approach it, and then I was like, it's actually quite technical. So there is an element of me being able to do my thing.
Yeah, and look, this is one thing obviously with injury prevention and stuff like that. It is hard for Matt as well, because we don't want to give too much advice so that someone then comes along and is like, oh, you told me to do this and then I still went and got injured.
Yeah, there's a liability.
Yeah, so Matt can talk you through that. And but I just thought we could have a quick chat today about, injury and some of the kind of main reasons why people get injured, and maybe not so much go and do this so you don't get injured.
Yeah, I think if we outline the main causation, then probable ways of fixing said causation, then people can our audience is smart. We've got smart people. They can figure it out.
Yeah, definitely. And look, a couple of weeks ago when we did the Q&A, someone was asking about shin splints, and you had a really great chat about, making sure that you're fixing the problem before it starts, instead of trying to fix shin splints, which is so hard to fix. It's a rough road, like you said. But instead of doing that, you're trying to avoid the problem in the first place. So that's kind of where my head was at with this whole conversation.
For sure. And I definitely think that's a point of pride I have with the Performance Project, is anyone who's come to us without an injury or a niggle or anything like that has never developed one, which is great, except for Georgia. And
I came with injuries beforehand, guys, so that was not mad.
You did, but you've also gone through like a long time with no injuries.
Yeah,
and then anyone who's come to us with injuries, whether that's shin splints, calf issues, glute issues, whatever, we've been able to remove that from their body, which has been pretty good.
Yeah, mine has always been the same exact thing, and it's just a weak glute. It's my own problem. It's something that I need to fix on my own.
It's just a muscle imbalance.
Yeah, a muscle for sure, and it is something that I have had for like 4 years, ever since I started running. So Matt helps me deal with that and try for it to not be so bad.
Yeah, and we've definitely reduced it pretty significantly from when it started. Like when you first started, it was like almost every day you're like, this hurts, this sucks, it's uncomfortable. And then it's gone down and down and down and down. But unfortunately, sometimes when there is like true muscular imbalances, you can't fully eliminate it from your body. Like, it's just eventually. It's almost like what I said before about the two rocks grinding against each other. Like, half your body's trying to fight really, really hard to keep that muscle working, and then just when it just gives in a kind of a bit bigger way. But those get further and further apart.
Yeah, look, hopefully this is kind of the end of the injuries for me. I mean, I feel like I do a lot of work in the gym and with my physio, but it's just never ending. So, but hopefully with a bit more strength training, and then, we'll see how we go. But what are your kind of tips for people either just starting out or people who are a little bit injury prone? What can they look out for that's going to kind of help them treat the causation? Causation,
yeah. So like when people would have probably heard this with doctors, like doctors treat the I can't remember exactly what it is, but it's like
Doctors treat the
doctors treat
symptom.
this the symptom, not the cause.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, if you've got a sore throat, they give you a throat lozenge, but what caused the sore throat? Just if
Yeah.
people aren't sure what we mean by causation and things. Um, so you're better off getting in front of it. So for new runners and pretty much anyone who's not like a relatively experienced runner, the big trigger points are increasing volume too quickly, and that can mean one long run or volume over the entire week. So however you break up your runs, if you're being too aggressive, increasing volume, that's a great way to get injured. The second is a part of that is intensity. So if you were running too hard, too fast, too often, and then increasing volume, again, a recipe for just disaster in terms of injury.
Yeah. I feel like it's just one of those things, like there's just so many things you really do have to think about. It's if you're training, I guess if you're just going out for a run, casual jog, you probably don't have to think about these things as much. But when you're starting to train for races and stuff, you do really have to make sure, am I increasing my load too much? Have I got the right shoes on? Like, what am I doing? Am I fueling correctly? Am I eating correctly? I do think some of the part of what's happening with me right now was before I started this London Marathon block, I was in a calorie deficit for ages just because I'd put on a bit of weight, wedding, birthday, all that kind of stuff, which is fine. But I'm like, you said to me the other day, you said, oh, we need to get you eating more calories. And I was like, oh, shit. I was like, is that why this has gotten really bad? And I'm like, is that
Definitely
something?
contributed.
Yeah, is that something that can contribute to injuries if your
For sure.
diet, like my diet's really healthy, don't get me wrong, but I was having like a salad for lunch with lots of protein in it, but less carbs. I was having carbs before runs and things, and during runs, but really cutting back on that sort of thing. I'm like, did that cause it, or is that something that can contribute?
Yeah, calories are the way your body repairs muscle when it's broken down. That also includes bones, ligaments, connective tissue, fascia. Like for your body to repair things, it needs energy. Energy is food. So if it does not have ample amount of energy, eventually it's just going to run empty. Like that's just how that works. Like calorie deficit. You can be in a calorie deficit and run and not get injured. Don't get me wrong. Like that is possible.
Yeah.
I'm currently doing it now and knock on wood, injury free. However, extended periods of time, again, increasing intensity. So, using Georgia as the guinea pig as per usual,
Yep.
we started increasing intensity during long runs. We had to be a little bit more aggressive than what we normally would because London sort of came out of the blue.
Yeah.
But if she was in a bit more of an aggressive calorie deficit than probably we anticipated, and then she starts putting volume and volume and volume into her legs, and yeah, like a calorie deficit could potentially contribute to injury.
Yeah.
But also in saying that, managed correctly, a calorie deficit is safe, but it does. Again, this is something we should write this one down when we get Lauren on. We
Yeah.
can talk to her about it because she's a gun with this sort of stuff. But you can definitely manage a calorie deficit and train without any risk of injury. You just need to. It can't be an aggressive calorie deficit. So, general advice, guys. A couple of hundred calories a day is pretty safe to remain injury free. Like if you're sort of getting 3, 4, 500 calories, George is just all of a sudden going, fuck.
Oh dear. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was sitting at about 1,600 calories a day. I couldn't tell you what my maintenance is. Probably around the 2 2s.
Yeah, so yeah, it's probably on the look. We don't know, so I can't say yes or no. In terms of
Yeah.
like that's what caused it.
It's just
But
interesting, right?
yeah, but it definitely didn't help.
No. I think it's a combination of a lot of things.
Yeah, of course it is.
Another one, sleep. I didn't
Yep,
realize how much.
massive.
Yeah, because correct me if I'm wrong, sleep is where obviously everything repairs itself. So if you're having a really poor night's sleep, your body doesn't have the same amount of time to repair.
Yeah, there's a really I can't remember the athlete who said it. Um, they said if you could take the results from sleep and put it in a pill and sell it from a pharmacy, it would be banned in every single professional sport as the strongest performance enhancing drug ever. Like it is unmatched.
Wow.
So,
What are we talking
like,
though? Are we talking 7 hours, 8 hours, or it's hard to tell for everyone?
it's hard to tell for everyone. So, uh, if anyone is interested in optimizing sleep and recovery, listen to Dr. Matthew Walker. He's got a podcast out. He's been on Joe Rogan. He's been on
Yeah.
Modern Mindset. He's phenomenal. He's really, really good at breaking complex sleep issues down and putting them out into simple, digestible bits of content. Really, really
Okay.
good. He's got a great Instagram as well.
Yeah.
Um,
So is that like he talks about how to get a better night's sleep or why sleep helps or everything?
Everything. He's like the number one sleep professional in the world. He consults with a bunch of athletes. Like does pretty much everything. Runs sleep. He's a professor at one of the big universities in America, and like runs a whole bunch of sleep studies. And he's the guy on the cutting edge, basically,
Okay.
of sleep.
Right. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone has a Garmin. I never have a high sleep score. It is, and I know it's not super
Oh,
accurate. Take it with a grain of salt. But I got friends that can get like 100 sleep score, like a
yeah. It's no.
perfect
It's
night's.
honestly they're just it's irrelevant. Like the Garmin data has. It's not even remotely close to what is
Oh,
accurate.
here I am, just like, oh my God, this is gospel. Gotta believe my Garmin.
No, I don't even look at mine.
Oh, Nick and I
Um,
compete. We wake up in the morning, we're
no,
like, what's your sleep score? And he'll be
no,
like, I got an 83.
no. The the big thing with sleep is people. So let's do a couple of things. 6 hours is basically the minimum. The majority of the population, it's somewhere between 6 and 7.5 hours.
Yeah.
Can They can function at a very high rate, sort of 90th percentile in that. Anything over, not majority of people don't actually need 8 hours according to this research. Um, take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Everyone's different. Uh, and then what people uh, mistake is time in bed versus time asleep.
Like in
So
bed on your phone
yeah,
doing
so if some
stuff.
people go, I went to bed at 9 o'clock
Yeah.
and then I got up at 6, so like I got 9 hours. Be like, well, actually, you're on your phone for 30 minutes. You went up to go to the bath. What are you doing with the
I'm
camera,
so
Georgia?
sorry, guys. I'm having the worst every time we record. I have the worst technical problems. I need to like, I can't deal with this anymore.
We need to get you like podcasting for dummies book or something.
It's not that. It's the HDMI. And do you know what it's doing? This is such a tangent.
Is it
It's
flicking on and off?
it's flicking on and off, which I know Matt can see
Because your
because
face is
my
lighting up.
no, I can
I
I
was
can
wondering what that
tell.
was.
I can tell it was doing it and I was like, do I message Matt and tell him what's happening? Or just tell him. So the HDMI cord is flicking on and off, so it's distracting me. And then my camera is just like slowly rotating to one side. Oh, guys, I can't
Oh,
cope. Is anyone else like this where you just like one thing
no.
is happening? No, not with the podcasting equipment. No one else is like this. But where one thing is happening, but you can't concentrate on anything but that one thing. Like the flicking was
Yeah,
doing my head in. But right now,
I
it's
get that.
not,
I can
it's,
relate to that.
yeah, you can definitely. But it's just like I can't unthink about it right now. And I'm really trying hard to concentrate. But the flicking of the screen was really doing my head in. But currently, it's not doing it. Touch wood. Please, Matt, keep talking.
I lost my train of thought, mate. What were we talking about?
I think Matt and he's like, I'm lost. We were talking about sleep, and anyway, I think that's probably fine.
Yeah.
Are there any
Um,
other things that people can do to help with the injury? I mean, it really worried me seeing how many people were saying that they were injured, but I just don't know if that's because I'm relating to that few pocket of people on the internet that are having issues, or if my screen's doing it again. If it is actually something that's, something we need to worry about. Like, do people really need to be thinking about this, or
People you shouldn't think how to prevent injury. You should think because that is not that's not a good way to live your life. Um, Again, going back to like the volume, like with us, we have spoke about social media and the impact that has, like, and with run clubs and running at certain paces and things like
Yeah.
this, like people chuck themselves in the deep end, which is great from an ambition perspective, but like also it sets you up to fail.
Yeah.
So I definitely think there is a pressure of a social media, a run club, a public opinion of like, if you don't, I don't know, I'll just use an arbitrary number. If you don't run 5K, what's the point? Like, or
Yeah.
your first run, you go to a run club, you've never run before, and all of a sudden you're trying to keep up with experienced runners for
Yeah.
a 5, 6, 8K, whatever, and you've just set yourself up to fail from the get. And I
Yeah.
think that's a real, I think that's going to contribute if we could, it'd be impossible to measure this, but if you could measure that over the course of the next 12, 24 months of people who were motivated to run via social media or run clubs and made that their first runs, their injury rate would be astronomical.
Yeah. I can relate to that whole if you didn't run 5K, what's the point kind of thing. I know sometimes, even if I'm in the hurt locker, I really struggle to be like, take my half marathon, not the weekend, just gone the weekend before that, where I really noticed my injury. Matt had me programmed for 19K. I messed up my thing to get me home, but I could have also jumped on a Lime bike and just rode home, but I
Yeah.
didn't. I was like, oh, I could just run a half marathon. Like, how that'll be great. I'll feel really good because then I can be like, oh, mentally I can run a half marathon, and then I can also, that'll be great for a video, and then I made myself worse. So I think there are a lot of people out there who are, going to run club and they're trying to beat their mate next to them, or they're running extra kilometers before run club so that they can get in what they need to get in. But yeah, I think it's one of those cans of worms that it's a bit hard to open without getting into a whole heap of other stuff.
Yeah. And for people who are following programs or and whatnot, um, nothing gives me the shits more with my athlete. Like, I'm very, very chill as a coach. Like, I can make just about anything work, anything that goes wrong, I can fix.
Yeah.
When athletes do extra volume, it fucks so much. Like, and that is just,
That's me, guys. He's talking about me right now. He's probably talking about a few people, but
I am talking
yeah.
about a few people, but like, and they know, like, I always pull them up on it. I always be like, hey, like, stick to the plan. Like, there's a reason it's capped at, like, we'll just use your example. There's a reason it's capped at 19. Like, because going from 19 to 21 over your total weekly volume, that's probably pushed your run volume total from 8% extra to 12 or 13% extra.
Yeah.
And that might not sound like a lot looking at numbers, but when we're talking about kilometers in the legs, like, it's considerable. And then you do that. I'm just using you as the example, Georgia.
It's fine. No. I'd rather use me than someone else.
Yeah. But then you do that 2, 3, 4 weeks in a row. All of a sudden you've accrued 7, 8, 11% extra on top of the already additional volume, because you're going for a progressive overload. You've gone from a 10% to a 12% to a 15%. All of a sudden you're running 18% more, and then something breaks. Like, that's how it works. And like, it's really, really hard to program correctly and even follow a program correctly for people following Runner app or whatever if you deviate from the plan. Like, it's set for a reason. I know that sounds a little bit boring, but like, it is quite mathematical.
No, that I didn't know that. And see, you've never really pulled me up on that, I don't think.
You don't do it very often. Like,
No,
it's very,
it's
very,
very
very rare.
rare.
I was just using that as an example of then extrapolating it out.
Look, as I said, I prefer you use me as the example as someone else because they're not on the podcast, and that's not fair. But yeah, I didn't realize it made such a big deal to do more than you should if you're following a plan. I guess I just was like, any extra kilometers in the leg are good extra kilometers in the leg. I didn't realize it would make such a big difference.
Yeah, it also depends on where you are in the block. Like, again, this is where like probably gets more towards experienced runners. But like, when you're doing your base building phase, if you want to chuck an extra 5K on a run, like an easy run, Okay, no worries, because the
Yeah.
intensity isn't particularly high. We're not doing marathon specific blocks. We're not doing, 30-kilometer race pace efforts, etc.
Yeah.
So an extra 5K on there. The the risk of something going wrong is significantly lower. Now, when we start pulling the intensity lever, i.e., for a marathon prep, we're starting doing tempo work, we're starting to build out marathon running.
Yeah.
The the trying to fine tune a machine, right? You think about like all the cogs working together, and when you do something that isn't on the plan, the cogs jam.
Yeah. Okay.
That makes
Yeah,
and
that makes
then
sense. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and
I'm
then
just,
then you got to like repair it and then
yeah.
keep it going.
Do you know what, guy? It really makes sense, and I giggle to myself because I'm like, Georgia, you idiot, as if you didn't think of things. So all these things, like, look, I'm like 4 years into running, I'm still learning stuff every single day on how to
But
improve myself.
a lot of things, and what do I say this to everyone? Running is a
Mm.
learned skill.
Yeah,
Everyone I've said this to you a million times.
yeah, you
Everyone
have.
thinks they can run and they know how to run because they ran as a kid, they played sports, they ran around, played tip, did all the things.
Mm-hmm.
That is so different to endurance running. It's not even the same sport, even though they are both called running. So a lot of things you don't know unless you've been taught, right? And some things, it's just how valuable is that information, right? Like you have
Yeah,
a coach for a reason. So like that information doesn't need to be on top of mind for you. That's my job.
yeah.
So,
It
you
is
know,
true. I don't know. I don't want to say I take it for granted, but what am I doing? You know what I mean? Why am I thinking that I know better or that I should go, oh, let's. And I know it's one run that I run extra, but sometimes I do run extra a little bit. And as you said, it all adds up.
yeah,
So,
it's just it's an accumulation of volume. And sometimes, you know, I change things on the fly and reduce stuff for you and reduce stuff for other athletes. But for people who are listening, like they don't know how to reduce the volume. They don't know when to pull back and when to add volume or when to introduce intensity and how to moderate that. So
yeah,
I know we've gone off on a little bit of a tangent here, but that's kind of the beauty of the podcast where we can talk about what we feel like.
yeah,
Um, I really, really encourage people to do not rush when starting out, even if you've been doing a little bit of running. Don't think you've got to go 5 to 10K, 10K to 15, 15 to 21. Or, the progressions could be 5 to 6, 6 to 7. Hit 7 2 or 3 weeks in a row. Go to 8, see how 8 feels. Then go to 9. Maybe hit 9 1 or 2 weeks in a row. Then go to 10.
yeah,
Even for like my marathon guys who are experienced marathon runners, they sit in that 28 to 32 kilometer pocket for a month.
oh my
That's a
gosh.
4 kilometer window, and they just sit in there. And sometimes it's longer, sometimes it's 5 or 6 weeks, and only after a certain period of time will I think about going to 34 or 36 kilometers. And these are guys who have run multiple marathons, and it's a 4 kilometer pocket they're just living in. So
Yeah,
don't be in such a rush to go race through, go 20 after you do a half marathon. Cool, marathons next. You go 21, 25, 30, 35, 42. Like, just take your time.
I
It's the long game.
I do think though that is the society we live in now though, is that
100%.
everyone's impatient. And
Yeah,
this is with everything. This is not just running. This is everyone wants to hit their goal.
instant gratification. Yep.
Instant gratification. And everyone wants to hit their goal so much sooner than they would have probably 10 years ago, because there was not that social media thing and people want to have something to talk about or they want to be able to go to their friends and say, oh, I got a PB or, yeah, I finally hit that sub 25K or
Yeah.
whatever it is. But people don't want to wait for the process. They don't want to trust the process. They don't want to live in the process. And I think that's why I love marathon training, right? Because you have to live in that process. You physically can't just be like, I'm going to go run it. Well, you can, but why? I'm gonna go
Yeah.
run a marathon tomorrow. Like, woohoo, great. Like I like the process. I like the training. I like the routine and all that stuff.
Yeah. Definitely like the social aspect of it has it has such an effect, and it really really upsets me because I a big part of my job when I get athletes come in, and even if they just book a consultation, they're not interested in coaching, they just want some advice,
Yeah.
which which I do for free all the time. Um, it's adjusting time horizons. The amount of people who come to me and I'm just gonna use an arbitrary number. They run 7 minutes per kilometer as like their race pace, and they're like, I want to run a sub 4 hour marathon, and I want to do it in Sydney. I'm like, Sydney 2028 or like
Yeah.
what are we doing here? And like, no, like Sydney in 6 months. I'm like, not happening. Like, just
Yeah.
absolutely
The
not.
the worst thing is though is a lot of those people will then go and find themselves someone who'll be like, yeah, let's do it. Like, yeah, come
Yeah,
on. It's that whole that's the
it's a,
mentality. And
yeah, it's
that
a
kills me too. There's just people
yeah.
out there who they run and as you said, that 7 minutes or 7 minutes 30 or something, but that's the goal. There's no like sub five goal. I'm like, why is sub five not a goal? Sub
Yeah.
five should be a goal.
Yeah,
Uh
I find that's another thing. Like, I find it really interesting. People, it's either sub 4 or just finish. Like there's no
yeah.
sub 5, no sub 6, no sub 7. Like, it hasn't been popularized.
Yeah.
And yeah, I know it's a real point of pride with me where I'm just like, if someone is not willing to budge on a time horizon, I just won't work with them. Like, I'm just like, sorry, like,
Yeah, they're also probably not someone you would want to work with anyway, because then they're probably not going to budge on other things as well. If they're not willing to
um,
compromise, that's probably not going to be a great relationship. You guys
I'm
both
all
have
for
to get along.
well, they need to be coachable, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's the whole thing, right? Like, I'm all for ambition and being like, I'm gonna do it. I'm like, cool, but like, let's do it next year, or
Mm.
like, let's push it back 2 races. Like, let's get some experience. Anyway, off topic. Um, what else? You said something about process, and I had a really good point. Process, yeah. So this is something I use in business all the time.
Yeah.
And ever since I've really started implementing it, it's changed a lot. It
Oh,
changed a lot
okay.
in a lot of different aspects of my life. There was a study in Harvard Business School, and they asked these business students about, you've got 10 minutes to build the tallest tower you can out of Lego,
Yeah.
and they just obviously made it super super thin, like a classic skyscraper, just straight
Mm.
up as quick as they could. And then they said, okay, if I gave you a whole day, do you reckon you could make it taller? And they're like, yeah, probably could. And they're like, if I gave you a week, what would you do? And they're like, I'd to redesign how it was all built, and I would do this and blah blah. And like, cool. What if I gave you a decade? And they're like, oh, I could build one the same size as the Empire State Building. And like,
Yeah.
how would it change? And they're like, I would spend so much time on the base.
On
I
the
would spend so
foundation.
much
Yeah.
time on the foundation. I would make this thing fucking earthquake proof. And that's like it doesn't change with running. Like, people just want to go straight to the top, and then a slight bit of wind blows, and the whole thing falls down. And that, in this analogy, that is you getting injured.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So like, be happy being a beginner. Newbie gains are so good. That 0 to 10K window,
Yeah.
mate, you should be milking that for everything it's worth. There is so much value there. You can, I reckon, if you gave me two runners, exact same, one just worked with me and did the 0 to 10Ks. The other one just went off and was like, I'm going to run 10Ks as quick as possible. My guy might get this 3 months slower, but after that, the following 3 months, the 3 months after that, the 3 months after that, the two runners wouldn't be comparable. Like, it would just, it's like compounding interest in finance. Like, it's
Yeah.
super, super slow, then bang. Like,
Yeah.
that's the exact same thing in running. Like, you're compounding interest on your fitness and your endurance and your conditioning.
Yeah, because the one that took their time built the better foundation. And so
Mm-hmm.
they're not going to blow over in the wind and get injured. Whereas the one that just took the quick way,
Yep.
they're blowing over. They're getting injured
Blowing over. Yep. Shin splints, stress fractures, whatever.
on the ground
Um,
crying.
yeah. But I do think that is, when you take culture into consideration, I do think that is the biggest thing for injury prevention is just what's posted on social media, what's on Strava, what run clubs are encouraging, and people are going in blind. So it's a combination of society and culture and a lack of knowledge.
Yeah.
They're the two. Yeah.
Yeah, I truly think that the biggest factor at the moment is that culture of that running culture of just everything has to be bigger, better, faster, get there quicker, all of that sort of stuff. Look, at least with my Sunday Social Run Club, we encourage you to take your time. We are everyone, there's no one left behind. Go slow, enjoy it, have fun. Beginners 100% welcome. So, just saying, there's none of that at my run club. Hey, by the way,
Georgia,
like 300 people have signed up to that. God,
wow.
talk about a panic attack. Far out. Oh, I don't know why we did this. I'm going to be on a tangent here for a second.
That's all right. Tangent away.
We did this on our last one. I was like, I'm going to do an Eventbrite just so I can keep track of numbers. And so that when we're talking to brands and stuff, we can say, look, this is how many people are coming. And it kind of gives them a really good idea. Because the first one we did, we just put it out to the internet and 90 people turned up. And we were like, wow, that's really amazing. And so the one we did in November last year, we put it on Eventbrite, and Julie and I kind of kept an eye on the people coming, and I think I set the limit at like 500, thinking whatever, don't really care. And I think 100 and something people came, which is amazing. So great. And so I was like, oh, I better drop it a little bit, like just in case. So I dropped it to 300, like max ticket limit. Anyway, and Julie messaged me, I reckon 2 days after we launched it, saying, hey babe, so sorry, someone's just messaged me saying that the ticket link's not working, saying like it won't allow them to get a ticket for free. I was like, that's weird, like shit, I fucked it up again, like classically tech not working. Anyway, and I went in and I was like, holy shit, because I messaged her saying, oh, like it's not like the limit would have gone over, I did it at 300, let me just check it. And then I looked and I was like, holy shit, 300 people have signed up. Like,
that's unreal.
I know. And I had to I started panicking, and I had to message ASICS, the team that I talked to at ASICS, and I was like, hey guys, I know you guys are coming down with shoes. I'm just letting you know 300 people have signed up and we have 100 shoes to let people try on. They were like, oh, that should be enough, right? And I was like, yeah, 100 should be great. But yeah, I was like, oh my God, what are we going to do? I was like, do we need liability? Like, this is a lot of people. If they all come, I mean, they're not all going to come. I can't imagine 300 people are still going to rock up. But there's a lot of people on the Bay Run. It's not a very big path. So anyway, I started stressing, but
that's wild.
But then there's a run club in Bondi. Again, you've got that unofficial that we're getting 1,000 on the Harbour Bridge. So really, I don't know why I was stressing. But there's one in Bondi, Sydney Run Club, and they get like 500 on a Saturday or something. And I'm like, why am I even stressing?
Yeah, it's because you've just not done it before. It's the unknown.
Well, yeah, and also I was thinking about people just like, what if there's other people on the course and then they get upset because there's too many people, and then I'm worrying about people getting injured.
You can see the parallel between this and building your tower too quickly. Anyone at all?
Hey, I didn't mean it.
Yeah, neither do they.
Oh dear. Okay, before I keep talking about that too much, I have 3 questions, Matt. I think, well, they're for us, so...
Oh, no, hold on.
What?
When do you get back from Europe?
Oh, I get back mid-May, about the 21st, I think.
Okay, perfect. So I think that's when we should start the Beyond the Finish Line Run Club.
See, Matt just wants to have another 300 people turn up and him to say they've all come for us, but he just can't cope that I've got the bigger run club.
I don't have a run club.
I'm joking.
I could start one with me cows out here, but that's about it.
Me cows.
I'd have to run with some hay behind me so they'd follow me, but...
Yes, we'll definitely do that. Keep an eye out, guys. We'll make sure we work out a date that works, and we can do it somewhere nice and easy. Can I get to my questions, or do you want to keep yapping? Yeah. Okay, cool.
Please.
Oh dear. All right. Do we have a question from Kate? How do you find motivation to get up in the morning and run? Do you want to start off, or should I?
I've got kind of a interesting answer, so I might go second because mine's
Okay.
probably a little bit more in depth.
Yeah, we love that. So, look, for me, the motivation, I like having a plan to do something. So I don't like just getting up and just being like, should I go for a run or not? Like I like knowing, setting out a week's worth of plan like Matt does. I like that Matt programs my runs because I have a goal to look forward to. That really keeps me motivated. I find that the best way to stay motivated, just to have a goal. So like set yourself a little goal, be like, I want to be able to run 10 Ks in however long, and then work towards that. But for me, I find motivation is what gets me up in the morning, but discipline is what keeps me getting up every day. So for me, I'm really disciplined, and that's taken 3.5, 4 years of really just being like, okay, you can snooze it once, but then you need to get up. And I don't know if you've heard of that theory that's going around on the internet at the moment called the let them theory. Have you heard of that, Matt?
No,
Oh,
no,
this lady's been talking about, I'm not going to ramble on about it too much, but she basically talks about, using the let them theory to how to live your life. If someone's going to be an asshole, just like let them. If someone's going to be in a bad
right,
mood, let them. Anyway, one of her things she does is it's called like the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And so if you're really struggling to get up in the morning to go for your run, a really good way is to literally, and it sounds really silly, but just count down from 5. Just in your head, go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boom, get out of bed. No hesitation. Rip the band-aid off and get out of bed. Seriously, it works. You'd be surprised if it's like paying a bill or, I don't know, having a conversation with your boss. Five,
yeah,
four,
it's
three,
just
two, one.
friction. Yeah,
Just do it. And I do this when I'm trying to get out of the shower. I'm like, I'm having a great time, hot shower, feeling good. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, get out of the shower. So yeah, that's how you get motivation. Have a goal, count down from 5, and then just be super disciplined. Matt, do
interesting.
you, do you want to elaborate on
Um,
your way?
yeah, well, just on the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I use a similar process where I'm like, if I put my running shoes on, I'm not gonna not go running.
Oh yeah.
Or like if I drive to the pool, I'm not gonna not swim. So like
But
sometimes it
how do
is
you,
just
that's all
Mm.
well and good, but how do you get your shoes on? What if you can't even get motivated enough to put your shoes on?
sometimes I put my shoes on and walk around the house for 10 minutes.
Another good thing? Pre-workout, coffee.
Yeah, I
Have
mean
a coffee, then you're not going to go back to bed because you can't.
that's true. Um,
I like the shoes
but
line
yeah,
though. Walk around for a bit.
yeah.
Otherwise, you just,
I'll just put my. I've got my running shoes. Like I've got to go. Like they're on. Like that's the hardest part.
well, otherwise you look like a bit of a dick just walking around in the house with alpha
Yeah,
flies on.
alpha flies in the wild, making coffee.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. Yeah, so you just put your shoes on, drive to the
yeah,
pool. Yeah.
yeah. Like get my bike ready. Like whatever it is. Like I just find like the biggest friction point is starting. Once you start, it's actually not that difficult. Like if you drive to Centennial Park and
Mm.
park and you've got your shoes on, what are you going to do? Like just drive home? Like
Yeah, exactly.
it's harder to not do it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
think the hard part
that's
as
my little
well,
trick.
yeah, that it's a good way to do it. Think of like small steps, right? Just
Yep.
like when we talked about in one of the earlier episodes, you spoke about, having little set goals and, if you want to go start running, you go to the shop, you look at a pair of shoes, then you go and buy the pair of
Yep.
shoes, and then you put the shoes on, and then you go for the run. So you could lay it out like that. Some people say putting your clothes out in the morning helps. For me, it doesn't really help. More so the fact
No, me
that it's
either.
just, yeah, it's just easier to grab your clothes in the dark rather than trying to rifle through drawers. But I think at the end of the day, the only person getting out of to get you out of bed is yourself. Um, just you just got to be like, how much do I want this? Do I want
Mm.
like for me, do I want to run the marathon? Yeah. Do I want to get to the point where I can easily cross that finish line? Yeah, I do. If I don't get out of bed, I'm not going to get there. So
Yeah,
that's
intrinsic drive's a big one.
yeah, like that's big motivation. So set yourself a small goal or a big goal. Like if your
Mm.
goal is half marathon or a marathon or whatever it is. Yeah, that's a good way.
Yeah. So remember in the other episode where I was talking about how like running is like a moving meditation for me?
Yep.
Um, I've been really thinking about motivate motivation, because the question I get from all the guys, like guys and girls I coach, people on social media, is like, God, you must be so motivated all the time. And
And
to
you're
be
like,
honest, like
not always.
to be honest, I actually really dislike motivation.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I think motivation isn't actually that helpful. I think motivation is a fleeting emotion
Okay.
that puts us in a heightened state, and then we become reliant on it. So how many times, like, first run, super motivated, go out and do it. Second run, a little bit less motivated, but go out and do it. Third run, not as motivated. I don't think I'm going to do it. So we've become reliant on motivation. Motivation is now, I need motivation to run, which is, I need motivation to train, I need motivation to go to the gym, I need motivation to eat healthy. So I like to just remove that from the equation. If I feel particularly motivated, that is an added bonus, but I do not need it.
Yeah.
So that's something I've really been thinking on. And then the second part of that is motivation is painted in this super positive light. It is the angel on the shoulder. It is how everyone wants to market themselves as this super motivational person, or like, I never miss a workout, blah blah blah. And it is painted in a positive light.
Yeah.
While discipline is the devil on the shoulder. People paint discipline as the negative, like, oh, only people who are super hard and like miserable in their fucking life get up in the rain and run at 4 o'clock in the morning. Those people are disciplined.
Yeah.
But the two are one in the same. They're just framed differently.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say I can totally relate to that. I think that's a stereotype thing, right? People think
It is.
discipline and they think that, the army officer who's like, go do this, go do that. Whereas, yeah, it is a little bit like the angel and the devil on your shoulder.
Yeah. But yeah, so I actually think discipline and motivation are one and the same. There's this saying that crazy and genius are next door neighbors and they borrow each other's sugar. I really like that one.
Gosh, you're full of these, aren't you?
Mate, I read a lot of
guys love them.
studies.
I hope you
If you
love them
don't,
as
this is
much
a
as I
rough
do.
listen for you, because I love a quote. And I think motivation and discipline are very much the same. I think they are one in the same, just they're framed differently. So I'm a big fan of not relying on motivation, because I just think it's a crutch. I think it's something we become dependent on, and because it is so fleeting, we have no control over it. You cannot control when you are motivated, and when it disappears, then what have you got? You've literally got nothing to lean on.
Yeah.
But if you just spend the time and understand why, that intrinsic value that Georgia was talking about, this is why I do something. I want to run a marathon. To run a marathon, today I must run the 5 kilometers. Tomorrow I must run the interval session. That is the discipline. Discipline isn't an emotional state that people build it into because they think it is, what George said, the army sergeant, the rah rah rah. It is not. Discipline is the logic. Discipline, motivation is the emotion. Discipline is the logic. So I get up. I must do the run to achieve the goal. If I do not do the run, I do not achieve it. You've removed motivation you've removed emotion from the equation. And that's how I've been framing things lately. And I've really been working through this thought process. Not fully there yet, but I've been thinking about it a lot. So that's kind of where I'm at with discipline and motivation.
So are you saying you rely more on the discipline than you do the motivation because the motivation is fleeting?
Correct. And if you rely on something that is fleeting, when it is gone, you cannot do the thing.
Yeah. Okay. Because I was just trying to think.
If you only run when you're motivated, and then the motivation goes, you can't run.
Yeah, because I was trying to think of ways that they can practically put that into their life. How can Kate use that in her everyday life? If she's not going to rely on the motivation, what are ways that she can do it? But I guess, it is 100%. You've just got to be disciplined, and you either want to be disciplined or you don't. And there are some days it's going to be hard. Don't get me wrong. It's not days where I don't go, oh, fuck, I don't want to do this. Or there's days where I'm just like, oh my God, I want to miss this. I want to go home, whatever. But that's where the discipline kicks in.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely the second part is people think motivation means you always want to do it, and discipline means you do it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I would frame it. So I would say, I don't know, 80% of workouts I don't actually feel like doing. But once I get started, like it's okay.
Isn't
Um,
it crazy though that we do this though? That we get up and we're like, I don't want to do this, and most of the time I don't want to do it. When you're
mm,
doing it, you feel really good.
yeah.
But isn't it wild that we do things every day that we don't really want to
Well,
do?
it's the way your body's programmed. Like this is just like you are designed to take the path of least resistance.
Yeah.
Like no one is. Let's two examples. You finish work Friday afternoon, 10K run, go have a cocktail with your friends. One is inherently hard, one is inherently enjoyable. However, even though
I thought
what?
you meant go for a 10K run, then get a cocktail with your friends. I
No,
was
no,
like,
no.
that sounds like a
Two,
party.
two separate events. You cannot do both. Without even thinking about it, you go the
Oh.
10K, like 10K is hard, don't want to do it.
Yeah,
So
cocktail with friends. Why
cocktail
not?
friends, easy, very low friction.
Yes,
Yeah.
I see
So
what you mean.
yeah. Um, can I do another quote that might help?
Yeah, of course. Hit me.
Okay. So this is an Alex Hormozy quote. You do not build self-confidence by staring in the mirror saying positive affirmations to yourself. You build self-confidence by doing the thing over and over and over again and building an unsurmountable amount of proof that you are who you say you are.
Okay. So an example would be instead of standing in the mirror being like, I am really fast. I am fast. I'm so fast. Going out and doing
Go
the
out and
runs. Do a fast
yeah,
run
go out and do the
and you
runs.
go,
Yep.
I am actually fast. Look at me go.
Yep, exactly.
I love
And
that.
so when people don't want to go for the run, like, well, you've gone for the run. You've done the run on Monday. You've done the run on Wednesday. Now it's time to do the run on Friday. You've done it. You've proven you can do it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
said you wanted to do. You said you wanted to do it. Go and do it.
Love that. That is so much motivation. In the best way, not the motivation Matt talks about where it's fleeting,
It's
but that
fleeting.
should help you,
Don't
Kate.
rely on motivation, guys.
Yeah, that should help you. Two different points of view on motivation.
It's one
Okay,
of my
cool.
favorite quotes.
We have a question from Michael. So he has asked, he's doing Sydney Marathon for the first time. Any tips on how to get through the race? Any tips on Sydney, the course in general? Pretty much was what he was
Okay.
getting at.
Yeah. So, well, George, you're the home ground peer, so I'll let you. You can take the bulk of it. I've got a couple of little hidden gems, but you can do
Oh,
the
great. I
yeah.
love that.
You can do the most of it.
Look, I am the biggest preacher of how much I love Sydney Marathon. Love it, love it, love it. So this is a great question for me. But my biggest advice would 100%, if you live in Sydney, I'm so sorry this won't apply to you if you don't live in Sydney, but try and get out and do some of the course. For me, I found Sydney Marathon mentally a lot easier than Gold Coast because I knew where things were and how far things were apart. So for Gold Coast, I had no idea where I was running. I was like, I'm running straight, but I don't know for how long. Whereas if I could mentally map out in my head how far I was going, like I know how far it takes to get from the bottom of Macquarie Street to the top of Oxford Street. Like do those runs. Do the run through Piermont on the wharves. Do the run over the Harbour Bridge. Do the run through Centennial Park. All of those sorts of things. So you become really familiar with the course because the last thing you want is to be hitting like Kingsford, which is 21 Ks into the course, and being like, oh my God, where the hell am I? Is there a turn up here? Is there not? Become really familiar with the course. Trust me, it's so helpful. That is one. My other big one is hills pay the bills. I don't know if you know this, but Sydney Marathon out of the 7 world majors has the highest rate of elevation out of all of them. It also, though, has its net downhill. So
Yeah.
when I say that is while the elevation is quite high, they are all rolling hills. So it's kind of like you do a hill, you go straight for a bit, you do another hill, you go straight for a bit, and then you might go down a bit, go back up. but the course in general is actually more downhill than it is uphill. So don't stress too much, but hills will really help you, specifically if you want 2 training runs to do. Again, I'm sorry if you don't live in Sydney, but one is Moore Park Road. That one's a killer. That's at probably 35 kilometers or something. It's pretty steep. And then at 39 kilometers, you have to do Mrs. Macquarie's Chair, which again is another hill. So chuck in some hill work. It'll help. Other than that, yeah, just becoming really familiar with the course, becoming familiar with running in a bit of heat as well, because there's been 2 years in a row now where it's been quite warm. Running in the heat really helps you. That's kind of it. I mean, other than the general marathon things, but for Sydney specifically, Matt, did you have those couple you wanted to say?
Yeah, so you kind of hit on 2 of them. One is the hills. So yes, net downhill, and most people think when they think hill running, they think running up hills, all right, and then you recover on the way down. I would encourage people to alternate that. If you are going to do hill reps, 1 week running up hills, 1 week running down hills, because it'll really stiffen your quads.
Totally. Running downhill is a lot harder than people think.
Yep.
And especially for Sydney, as I said, it is net downhill. So there are a lot of the course. Like if you're running, you start in North Sydney, and the starting line is where they did the 2000s Olympic starting line, and that start line is downhill all the way to the Harbour Bridge, and it is aggressive. It's a steep downhill, and so, you know, while you can sprint downhill, it hurts your knees though. So definitely do some downhill.
And the fact that it hurts your knees shows that probably didn't stiffen your quads up enough. So your quads should take a large amount of that force running downhill, and if they're not particularly stiff, those big muscles use up a lot of glycogen. So getting them properly conditioned, really, really important, and probably something people don't pay when they think hills. They do not think running downhill.
No, yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah, and the second one is heat acclimation. Something, given the time of Sydney, I've probably been caught out in terms of a preparation aspect, because I'm normally pretty on it with this sort of stuff. But August is just this weird time where you can get. It's in August this year.
Yeah, they've moved it forward 2 weeks to the 31st of August. It used to be mid-September.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it used to be correct. Yeah. So when it was mid-September, you'd be like, you kind of run the race. You could get like a 30+ degree day, but like more often than not, it wouldn't be. But unfortunately, the last 2 years, it has been. So I would encourage people to do heat acclimation. Now, what does heat acclimation look like? It's very, very basic. This is a very, very basic thing. Go to the gym, jump on the treadmill, run for 30 to 45 minutes, just cruisy zone 2, straight to the sauna, sit there for 15, 20 minutes, done. So I'm not going to get into science because that is a whole episode in itself. Just trust me, once or twice a week, you'll be fine. Do it a month before, so the 4 weeks leading in. Don't do it during your taper.
I was going to say, I was like, I've heard having saunas before on a taper is really bad. But okay, good.
No, it's not. But you're not going to get any heat acclimation from it. Like, it needs time to absorb, so there's no benefit. Yeah, but if you enjoy having a sauna during taper, it's not going to affect your performance.
Oh, okay, interesting. Very good.
As long as you hydrate.
Yeah, I think that's where I was getting at. There was a guy that DNF'd Gold Coast because he had saunas all week leading up and didn't hydrate properly, so he got rhabdo. Anyway,
I mean, that's a whole different conversation, because that doesn't mathematically make sense. Yeah, that is incorrect. But anyway,
that was what he said. Anyway, don't come.
I'm not saying you're incorrect. I am saying the causation does not match up.
Anyway, let's not get into that. Now, Matt, you said you had a question from Amy, who hit you up in your DMs.
Oh yeah, shout out Amy. Spoke to her today.
There you go.
Which is 2 weeks ago for you listeners. All right, Amy. Cool. Yeah. So Amy asked, would you recommend running? I'm going to paraphrase this a little bit to make it a bit more user friendly. Would you recommend running a marathon or ultra marathon using gels or using real food?
Okay, well, we did a whole episode on this last week, so hopefully you've listened to it. If you haven't listened to it, great time now. pause, go back, listen to that episode, then come back and listen to this question.
Yeah, listen to the last 3 minutes of this episode. Great job.
Dude, look, if you're running an ultra, sure, get into the real food. For me, I'm a road runner. I don't do trail running, ultras, if that's what they mean by ultra. I'm having gels all the way. Real food, not for me. I'm not pulling a boiled potato out of my out of my pocket.
Yeah, even just from a practicality standpoint, like it just doesn't. Unless you physically stop running, real food doesn't make sense outside of lollies, like lolly snakes. What's yours? Percy Pigs? What is it? Percy Pigs?
Percy Pigs.
Percy Pigs.
Funny you say that. I have had real food once on a long run because the run before I'd been really craving salt and I was like, how can I eat salt on a long run besides literally eating packets of salt from Macca's? But I know some of my trail running friends do that. They go and steal packets of salt from Macca's and eat them. Anyway, so I made myself so good a white bread sandwich with Vegemite on it.
Yeah.
Put it in a little Ziploc bag, chucked it in my little rucksack kind of vest.
Yeah, we do that for our long rides and stuff, yeah.
Oh, do you know, a Vegemite sandwich with a little bit of butter on it hits different on a long run. I tell you, it was a bit mush, but it was good.
Here's something controversial. So I'm going to guess Georgia is a scrape of Vegemite kind of girl. I don't think she
You say that. I'm not a scrape. That's pathetic. I would probably have halfway between a scrape and like total blackout Vegemite.
I have it like Nutella.
Taste the salt. You like Nutella? What?
I have it like as if the same thickness as like you would spread Nutella.
Oh, that's a bit gross. That's a bit. Anyone from overseas would be like, yuck. Yeah. Are you a smooth or crunchy peanut butter?
Crunchy. It's not even a question.
Oh, see.
If you're having smooth, are you a child? Like, what are we doing here?
I am a child.
I'm gonna alienate the audience. If you are over the age of 21, I'm giving you a little bit of leeway, and you're having smooth peanut butter. We need you to grow up.
Well,
okay.
Sue me, Matt. I'm having smooth peanut butter with a bit of salt on top. It's delicious.
Salt on peanut butter is elite.
Thank you. Salted peanuts. That is what you need to be doing. Bit of pinch of like flaky salt.
Yeah.
Anyway,
elite.
Poor Amy. She's asked this question. We've gone on a tangent about different foods.
Vegemite and peanut butter. You're welcome, Amy.
Practicality wise, rip into the gels on a long run. So much easier.
Yeah. And for trail running or ultra marathon running, if you have checkpoints, not aid stations, checkpoints where they physically have like seats and things, go real food. Aid station where you've just got to run through it. You just got to keep it as just carbohydrates as quickly as possible.
Yeah. Awesome. Amazing.
Oh, wait, one last thing with that.
Oh, God.
No, just it's important. Like for people who are thinking about running an ultra, I would say after the sort of the 50, 60 kilometer mark, I would encourage you to go to real food regardless of if there are checkpoints. Normally there would be, but just if for whatever reason there's not, because your muscles will start breaking down, you will need protein intake. So switching to things like muesli bars, probably not protein bars, but like muesli bars that have like 10 to 12 grams of protein, things like that, and high amounts of fat will help you get through, as well as mixing in carbohydrates.
There you go. That's good to know. If I ever take up ultra marathon running, which I won't, but it's good.
We've got to do an Ironman first, Georgia.
Oh dear. Okay. Amazing. Hopefully we answered your questions, guys, as well as the little bit on injury causation, prevention, general.
If anyone has, as always, if anyone has questions about like they're not injury, they think they're going to get injured, they're not sure, message me. I will happily take the time to talk to you.
Here for the people.
Mate, I do so many videos in the DMs for people. It's outrageous. If I charge for these, I'd be so rich.
You'd be so
But I don't because I'm a good person. I care about the community.
We care. Here at
we
Beyond the
care.
Finish Line, we
It's like-
care. Okay, cool. As always, please follow us on Instagram, Beyond the Finish Line _pod, and over on YouTube. I apologize for anyone who's watching this on YouTube right now and they've had to deal with
George
all
is
of
basically at a rave.
my screen issues today. Look, I want to say it's going to get better, but hey, it's been 10 episodes and it's still not better. So, oh well, YOLO. Love you guys. Bye.
Hooroo. Done.